So, guys, honestly, as I was watching the game, I was seeing a lot of things that we would talk about on today's show when it comes to the football, soccer side of things. But the coaches kind of said, you know what? You think that's interesting? Watch this shit. And kind of like took the entire storyline away from what was being played. What do you make of that whole ordeal, Gally? I mean, obviously, it's entertaining, a little embarrassing, but entertaining again. What do you make of it?
All right, so full disclosure, in case it's anyone's first time viewing, I clearly love Antonio Conte. So I'm going to be on the side of the hot blooded Italian. Shocking, right? But um, Tuchel just appears to be someone that is less like loathsome. And I'm sure that Conte is not like some fun guy to be around if you don't like his personality or he's not on your side. But I like to believe that if you liked, a fine Marlboro Light and a red wine and a couple F bombs mixed in between both, like Conte would be the guy to hang out with on a Friday night. And I'm pretty sure Tuchel would be miserable at every minute of every day you were ever around the man. And I thought that they were just it was comedy for Tuchel. For Conte to claim that he was upset because of the antics of another manager is maybe the funniest thing in the entire world. But the idea that that thing popped off the way it did at the end, purely over Tuchel screaming, "You'll look me in the eye when you shake my hand," is like the most petulant thing ever. And I can see the little rat face saying it. So the fact that Conte went to Instagram and actually said that he would have tripped Tuchel had he noticed. And afterwards, they asked him today, "Was that you or does someone run your social media?" And he was like, I take credit for everything I say. Like he was proud of it. Like it's even better. And the fact that Tottenham and Chelsea played out the draw that they did was highly entertaining. And it's actually good the managers did what they did because overall, outside of a couple flashpoints, the match really wasn't that good. The play on the pitch wasn't that good, but the managers were basically the best story we've probably had yet so far in the Premier League.
I thought like the tactical moves they were doing to offset each other and stuff like that was interesting, and I thought would be talking points. But here we are talking about the managers because yeah, it was. That's funny you mentioned that, by the way. Yeah, Conte definitely sounds like the guy you would want to hang out, and he would tell you a lot of like like crazy stories that happened to him. If you sit around with Tuchel, I almost like see him just giving you dirt on people. Like those would be the stories that guy would tell. But I mean, I was honestly shocked having seen the drama that happened before when it was 1-1, right? I was shocked when he was running across that he did not. I almost thought when I saw Tuchel running, Bickler, I thought I'm like, oh, maybe the cameras are reversed. He's actually running towards the corner, like off his bench. When I realized he ran in front, first of all, I don't know how Conte didn't see him because even if Conte didn't see him, I can't see how his assistants did not react to like what he did, knowing what happened earlier, or maybe they didn't want to get Conte going. Are you shocked that he didn't get like a yellow card or something like that there, Bickler? I mean,
I
I know
am.
you would have loved to be in that scene right there.
I am. If I was Conte, I would have jacked his shit up if he came running across my touchline like that. I mean, the Premier League's not going to say this, right? But like, let's be honest, the Premier League needs more of this and less bar controversy, right? This is unbelievably entertaining. If let's go ahead and count the straight reds as 2 yellows, that'd be 6 yellows between the two of them in one match, which is just unbelievable drama. Yeah, it was petty. I'd take Conte in a bar fight probably. There is a part of me that greatly identifies with Tuchel as somebody who just absolutely hates everybody and everything. It's probably not a coincidence we're both divorced. So like I don't know. I loved it. I loved all of it. It was better than the football match for sure.
And the ending, like you're saying, Gally, was so freaking petty. Like, obviously they knew after all that drama, the camera was going to be on there. And that was the main focus of the game. Nobody cared about anything else at that point. It was just when they meet in the middle. And I thought Conte did what I would probably do as civil as I can be, like a half-ass handshake. And Tuchel to make a bigger deal of it? You think there's like a thing behind that? Like he yanks him back because it almost looked like Conte's arm got stuck in there. He yanks him back and tells him about that making eye contact and stuff. I mean, let's face it. Sometimes it is. I mean, Tuchel kind of said like the game got the better of him or the intensity, blah blah blah. But some of these managers don't do things just to do things that are like stories behind it, or they want to get something more out of their team or send some kind of a message across. Is that kind of like looking too deep into these two guys being kids, or it was just like they're saying heat of the moment, they just freaking lost it? Which I can also see.
I think it's heat of the moment. I think Tuchel had more to lose with 5 minutes to go in a lead. They had the lead twice. They were kind of in control of the match multiple times. And, Conte still has an awful lot of people at Chelsea that still love him, both supporters and folks that work there, even players. I mean, you saw Azpilicueta at the end go up to Conte and try to talk to him, and Conte's screaming at him, like pointing at the manager, almost saying like, go look at your manager, like talk to him type thing. Like, why is this happening?
Azpilicueta's like, yeah, I know, he's a dick.
And I'm trying to get to Barcelona.
That's basically what it looked like. It really looked like he was trying to be like, what the hell just happened here? And Conte's like, I honestly, I don't know. I tried to end it, walk away. This guy went crazy. And I think I think Conte leaves there feeling like I got under that guy's skin. Like, we're the one trying to crash the party. We're trying to become the biggest club in London. And we're trying to let everyone know, you all think it's a 2-horse race. Like, I'm Antonio Conte. I'm a serial winner. This Spurs team is here. That Spursy thing? Spursy isn't getting game winners after being outplayed or, point saving headers in the 97th minute. That's not Spursy. That's how Antonio Conte's teams play. And if I were a United supporter, I'd probably be sick to my stomach. They turned down naming him manager twice. Oops.
And I think mainly they turn it down because of his personality, because he's not going to go about things like Ten Hag, like, making people run extra the next day or something like that. He's going to get in the press conference and God knows what he's going to say, not only about the players, but probably about the club. And that's mainly why they didn't want his personality and outspokenness. But if we go back to the field, what do we learn about these two teams, Bickler, in terms of like the title race and what they have going in terms of a squad?
Well, I don't know that we learned anything. Well, first of all, the thing that jumped out to me is that I genuinely thought Chelsea was going to get run off the pitch. And I know that maybe that's not a popular opinion, but just based on form, that's what I thought. And so I was pleasantly surprised at how resolute and how well Chelsea defended. I thought they did a fairly good job versus a very tough offensive team in Tottenham. I mean, we've often talked about Cucurella, but he was better than I thought he'd be. I thought he was phenomenal in terms of Chelsea. And then for Tottenham, I thought we would see more fluency, especially through the mids. There was a very big disconnect between like Son, Kane, and the rest of that midfield, which I was a little bit surprised about. But I agree with what you said earlier in the fact that it was a game where there were a lot of very, very interesting things happening tactically. In a lot of very interesting almost like chess moves between the two managers. But the overall play on the field was just a little bit sloppy at times and disjointed in general. But yeah, it was a real chess match.
I think, Chelsea kind of showed. I mean, we saw Tottenham last week, right? And we know like the weapons they have. I think Chelsea kind of showed that if you crowd the midfield and if you harass them on the ball and their build-up play, if you don't give space to Tottenham, they're not the same attacking team. They need that countering. They need that space, like players like Son and Kane is going to distribute and stuff like that. If you harass them and if you're physical with them, I think you can disrupt them, especially in the first half. Saw a lot of that. Is that a concern to Tottenham, you think, Gally?
I think it has to be, and I think that's why they went out and bought additional midfielders. And let's be honest, we talked about Conte's strength. One of his strengths is he is loyal, sometimes to a fault. I mean, he's starting the same 11 that basically secured them Champions League and admitted it. That as time goes on, he'll move to Langlet in the back. He'll move to, starting his 2 new wingbacks. I mean, the whole match changed, in my opinion, once Perisic came in. He offered a different type of an attack on the outside. The balls that he was dropping into the box, both on set plays and in live action, I think that changes things. And honestly, I think Bentancur played the worst match he's played for Tottenham since he moved. And I think that's what you saw. That and Højbjerg. And I think we know why they went out and got Basuma, right? Højbjerg does a really good job. He's industrious. He scores the goal. He works so hard. But Basuma offers speed, pace, and the ability to add a dimension that no one else in their midfield does. And I think as time goes on, we'll see a much better Tottenham team when I think Perisic is starting on one side, and Doherty is starting on the other in the wingback positions. And then I think there'll be more stability in the center of the pitch once Basuma is holding the number 6 role. But let's be honest, Son was mediocre, if not poor. You could argue Son being hooked first was not shocking because he was the worst player on the pitch. And I hold my nose to say this, but to Conte's credit, a guy who plays a back 3 and never changes his tactics when he need to, he reverted to a back 4. He threw on Richarlison, and it changed everything by playing with 4 attackers, and Chelsea wasn't actually equipped with the players on the pitch to combat it. And that's when Spurs looked like they were going to score and when they might actually even go on and win the match when it was still 1-1. So, I think that Conte was willing to kind of gamble a little bit and roll it with the dice. And I really think Richarlison being introduced changed their outlook. And it could be something that we see a lot more of with them playing with all 4 attackers, which could really sure up Kulusevski. And that's even scarier.
And that's the thing. I thought, their midfield was due to, how physical, how like in their face Chelsea was. But not a lot of teams have that kind of a midfield, Bickler, that can do that to Tottenham. Where does Richarlison fit? I mean, anybody who listens to our regular podcast or knows me or has listened to me can say that I can't stand the guy. And he has actually managed to look even more annoying and aggravating to me with his new haircut. But having said all that, what does he I just have to get that out of my system. But what does he bring there? And how did they work him in? Because I hear what Galley's saying, but I feel like that could be a very risky business when you play that many attacking players and leave the back exposed.
I mean, I think Carlson gives them a lot of options. I mean, so if Kulusevski goes down or if they need to rotate him out and spell him, he can easily plug in there. I think he allows them to play with a 10 if they need to, in terms of taking a spot and then moving Son middle. I think he allows them late in games to go 4 up top if they need to and change it to almost like a 4-2-2-2, which I think we commonly see that with Leipzig, but I know Conte will throw that formation out there too. So, I mean, he's giving them 3 or 4 legitimate options, both from a starting position and from an off the bench position. And like we said, like this is not a player that you would ever want to, like, you hate him when he's on the other team, but if he's on your team, he's an absolute dog in the fight and you love that. So, I mean, gives them a lot of options. It's looking like a more and more solid pickup just from the versatility options that it gives them going throughout a match, depending on where the match is at, scoreline position, and from minutes on the clock.
And I think as much as, I can't stand them, it's kind of like speaks for Richarlison too, to agree to go there and, say to everybody, I'm going to earn a spot here. I mean, he could have looked at that team and be like, where the hell am I going to play? Or, I can't, Son is not going anywhere. Kane is not going anywhere kind of thing. And you saw how Kulusevski was last year. So I guess credit to him in that sense. As I hate this, just literally hurts saying this. But anyway, let's go with that. So let me ask you, Gally, obviously, aside from the drama, part of the drama was created by some of the referee decisions. What do you make of that refereeing? I mean, a couple of things come to mind. The Cucurella incident. I mean, as a guy who does not have as much hair anymore, I I felt, the dude's hair is connected to his head. So when you like yank a guy like that, how is it not any different than just grabbing his head and like throwing him on the ground?
So I've seen players get grabbed just as much by their head and thrown to the ground on corners and not see red cards given. Both players start the play grabbing jerseys, and that's clear. Both guys are pulling at each other's jerseys. Yeah. I don't actually think that Romero goes to grab a whole head of lettuce and literally yank it out. I think he is hanging grappling jerseys, pulls up. I do think he gets a whole head of hair, and I think he pulls back. I think sending a guy off in that spot for a red card would have been a pretty petty look. I'll be honest. I had no problem with them not giving red there. Anthony Taylor's response was VAR couldn't prove that it was malicious and on purpose and that the guy wasn't literally grappling with the jersey and just got a bunch of hair. And part of it is the hair's part of the uniform. And that is actually stated in like the bylaws, in the rules. And the reason is it's like the old NFL thing. If you go to reach for something and you grab it and you get it, you can't be blamed for it. And I think they kind of chalked it up that it was like accidental pulling. And they weren't going to say that it was malicious and automatic. And I'm fine with it because honestly, he looks like an idiot. And if you're going to run around with that puff of hair and you're grappling at each other's jerseys, the only difference was he grabbed the back of Romero's jersey like this, and Romero grabbed the exact same spot and got a whole heck of a lot of man hair. That's the only difference.
See, here's my thing with that. I understand what you're saying. First of all, a lot of hair hating going on tonight between Richarlison and now Cucurella. But here's the thing. As a guy who plays center back and has pulled all kinds of freaking jerseys, amongst other things, I mean, when you grab a jersey, you know the difference between the jersey and hair. And if you grab somebody's jersey like that to the point where you pull them back and throw them on the ground, it's a freaking penalty. So that, I guess, is my thing. I understand what you're saying. Like, it's the same spot, happens to be his hair instead. But if he grabs his jersey that hard and flings him over, literally flip the guy over, I think that then it's a penalty. Even if it's not a red card, then it should be a penalty. That's the part that I was like, I mean, this is something. This is not regular football play.
But they kind of made it out like he kind of embellished it too, that he kind of threw himself to the ground when he realized, like, for me, if Romero pulled him as hard as it looked on television, I think he would have taken the entire ponytail off. He'd be like holding it like Mortal Kombat style, like just like finish him like on the penalty spot
like that. So at least we know that's Cucurella's real hair, because any other time that shit is coming off.
Oh yeah. Oh, Conte, that Lego helmet would have been flying off. That thing would be in the third row if that was Conte.
What do you make of it, Bickler, as an ex-striker over here?
Yeah, I'll straddle the line. I think, like, for me, it's like it takes a lot for anything they call in the box on those set pieces for me. I mean, I think we've all been in there, and there's a lot of junk that goes down in there. Oh, yeah. And so the penalty box on a free kick feels a lot like the Wild West, right? I mean, I think a lot has to go wrong for things they get called. For me, in the match at this magnitude, as physical as this match was with both of them grappling, it's for me, if you don't call that foul, if you don't call that spot kick and it goes the other way for Brighton, it's nothing. Like, I don't think you can retroactively go back and card that. I mean, I just think you're either calling that as a spot kick. For me, it's not a straight red. I think you're either calling that a spot kick or you're just rolling with it and letting it go. To me, I had a lot of respect for the fact that Cucurella, like when they went to do the VAR rule, Cucurella did not make a big deal of it. He was not asking for a card. He was not like, I thought that was a big play for him. I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't have done the same because I would have wanted to win more, but like I had a lot of respect for him not making more of it than it was. I thought that was pretty cool.
Honestly, I would have wanted him to stay out there because that's when you take the other guy's license plate number and just wait for your opportunity to kind of like, get it back. So looking at this game, gentlemen, as we wrap up the match of the week talk over here, Bickler, let's start with you on this one. This game, I realize it's only week 2, but still for shits and giggles, did it change your opinion of where these guys would end up these teams will end up at the end of the season, having seen this game?
No, season's too long and it's a draw. So no, but I will say it tells me that Chelsea may not be as poorly off as I originally thought.
How about you, Gally?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with overall Chelsea's response and overall play. I think Koulibaly looks to be a real mountain of a defender, and if you're scoring half volleys like that on your debut, it's a good sign for Chelsea. And I think that with Spurs, I think Spurs are what I kind of thought they were, which was a much improved side with a much better manager and a better mentality. But if Harry Kane doesn't start playing like Harry Kane, then they won't reach the ambitions that they want to reach. Because, we talked about where's Richarlison fit in. At some point, Richarlison will fit into playing right through the middle because he might offer the best chance of scoring a goal. Because I know Kane hits that header in, but that was an own goal, and it looked like it was going wide of the post, in my opinion. And he was anonymous all match long, including one-on-one with a keeper in a situation he'd never miss. And he's starting to kind of show his age. And I think at some point, you might question whether or not Kane the playmaker is better than Kane the striker. And they're going to mightily need Kane the striker if they want to reach the heights they want to reach.
I think gives them the ability to kind of play the player that suits the game. Richarlison gives you a lot better work rates, but doesn't give you Kane's distribution and passing, and especially long range passing with Son and Kulusevski that he does. So it definitely gives them options. And like I say, they have a good manager who can kind of take care of those options. The Conte injury, which is kind of like an ongoing deal for him, I think that it will be interesting to see what happens with De Jong this week. I did not hear anything in the news today, but honestly, when the Conte injury happened, that was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, well, we might hear that on Monday now, completing that deal from Barcelona or something like that. But gives Gallagher a chance, and to show, see if he can duplicate what he did when he was away. But yeah, I feel like I still think Chelsea has the team that can win the tough games, whereas I can see Spurs struggle in some games and lose a lot more points. So I think that's kind of like what I took away from that Chelsea is going to be a difficult team to lose games, whereas Spurs, you can kind of catch them. You can make their playing style a lot more difficult, and they get affected by that physicality a lot more. But early going, so obviously a lot can change in that route.